Hi, this is Kenzo from Love Life Drawing. This video is filled with tips for drawing facial features, including the mouth, nose, and eyes. So the first thing we're going to do is put in a rough structure. So draw the overall shape of the head with light but bold strokes, as we've described in past videos. Don't worry too much yet about correctness in terms of proportions. It's easier to correct proportions later than it would be to change timid, tentative lines into lively movement lines. Now, roughly position the ear if it's visible. If it's not visible, try to guess and mark its position. You may have to correct the position later on, but for now, use it in order to move forward in the drawing. The ears tell you the direction the head's pointing. The tops of the ears help to mark out the lines that go around the head at the level of the eyebrows. The bottom of the ear indicates the start of the jawline. So they are important. But again, don't worry if you get them wrong. I mean, we almost always get them wrong, but you just need to put something down in order to move on with the drawing. Add that line, which connects the top of the ear and the eyebrow. Follow the jawline using the inner edge of the bottom of the ear as the starting point, and then position the chin. The jawline doesn't need to be nuanced. It can be really simplified and loose. It should just follow the main angles. That's the main thing. Nuances in the curvature of the jawline can be looked at later on. Also, unless you're lucky or really experienced, the chin is probably going to be in the wrong place too. We'll correct it later with alignment to other features. Now we're going to add the shape of the shadow under the lower lip. If the lighting is from above, that is. For lighting from below, it may be that you need to mark the outline of the lit area under the lower lip. Now this shape of tone under the lower lip, you can keep that quite simple. And now the lips themselves. For closed mouths, you may be able to see a heart shape which is formed by the side of the mouth. Sometimes you can actually draw a sort of lying down heart for each side of the mouth. You can then look at the shapes of the shade on the underside of the upper lip and start to put that in with tone. If the lips are less full, you can still look for that heart shape. It may be a bit thinner, but you wouldn't necessarily draw in that shape every time. Instead, you can just use it as a sort of visual framework to help you see the shapes of the shade on the lips and draw in that shade. Drawing in the lines around the mouth can sometimes be too strong, giving too much weight to the mouth. Instead, just suggesting the shape by drawing the tones created by the lips, that can be enough. Now, seeing this heart shape helps Mako a lot in her drawings, and you may or may not find it useful in your drawings. It's just another thing that's worth trying out, and you can see if it works for you. And one other thing about the mouth is to pay attention to the alignment of the corners of the mouth so that you get them in the right place relative to the other parts of the face. And also pay attention to the direction of the corners of the mouth, the angle that they're at. So to keep things really simple for now for the nose, we can think of it in three sections. There's the bony bit up here, which is part of your skull. You can probably feel it on your own nose. And then at the bottom, there's the bit with the nostrils and the tip of the nose here. And then in the middle, there's this bit which just kind of links the two. So just to really oversimplify things, three sections for the nose. If you're looking at a nose in profile, there's three lines going down to the tip. There's that bony part, and then the sort of transition part in the middle, and then the tip. In some people, the lines are very smooth and aligned, so they'll appear as one line, and in some people, they'll be quite distinct. When drawing the bottom section of the nose, we can draw the shape created by the nostrils and the tip of the nose. And it can be useful to look for a pentagonal shape, 5 lines, that enclose the nostrils and the tip of the nose. There's 2 that run around the side edges of the nostrils, 1 along the bottom of the nostrils to the bottom of the tip of the nose, a short one that runs along the tip of the nose, and then another one that runs from the top of the tip of the nose to the top edge of the nostril. Now, there's all sorts of noses out there, so there's no rules that are going to apply to everyone. But this pentagonal shape can be a good way to start seeing the shape of this section for a lot of noses. Have a look for this shape when you're watching TV. Now, before talking about the eye, let's quickly consider the eye socket. The depth of the eye socket, or the distance inwards from the bridge of the nose, deserves a bit of time and care to get right. It varies between people, but in most cases there is some depth here, and it's a good idea to capture that. You don't want the eyes to be floating around on the face. So lightly draw the shape of the shade within the eye socket, just to settle the eye into it. So for drawing the eye itself from the side, a lot of it's going to depend on how open the eye is. And then Mako likes to look for a sort of French policeman's hat, which looks like this, for the eyelid and the eyelashes. That curvature of the hat being similar to the curvature of the eyelid, and the little brim being like the eyelashes. So thinking not in terms of the shape of an eye, but thinking in terms of other shapes, that can be helpful because eyes don't always follow the classic eye shape that we have in our minds. Thinking in terms of different shapes can be helpful because we can start to see the reality of what we're seeing. And instead of thinking, okay, that's an eye and eyes look like this, we can start to see things differently. Sometimes you can barely see the whites of the eye and the pupils, for example, because the eye is facing downwards or it's quite closed. If that's the case, you don't need to try to force the standard idea of an eye into your drawing. You don't need to clearly demarcate the white and the pupil just because you know that that's what eyes are like. Draw the shape that you see, even if it's completely unlike the sort of standard imagined idea of the shape of an eye. If the whites are only vaguely visible, you can just soften the tone there. You don't need to make a very distinct, white area and pupil area, because that's not really what we're able to see. For the eyebrows, try to see the shape that they create. Don't view them like single lines, and also don't see them as clumps of lots and lots of strands of hair, but see them as simplified shapes. Whatever feature you're drawing, make a habit of checking alignments when you place it. Draw it in lightly and then check what it aligns with vertically and horizontally. For example, what's vertically aligned with the corner of the eye? What's horizontally aligned with the bottom of the ear? Make a habit also of checking negative space. For example, look at the shape of the negative space from under the nose to the chin, and then compare that to your drawing. Now some of these are personal preferences, but we like to be careful with the lines that link the corners of the mouth to the nose. They can be quite prominent on a face when you're looking at it, but when you draw them too strongly, it can have a really big impact on how the face looks. So you've got to be careful with them. Instead, you can gently hint at them if you want with gentle changes in tone, or even leave them out altogether. It's really up to you, but just keep in mind that they can have quite a big impact on how a face looks. The cheekbones and jawline can be described either with lines or more gently, just hinted at with tone. And often just tone is enough for the cheekbones and jawline. Lines aren't always needed. But it depends a bit on the person. Some people have very strong cheekbones or jawlines, and it also depends on your style and on the lighting. Now keep in mind, in a life drawing session, you don't always need to achieve a likeness of the model when you're drawing their face. The drawing doesn't necessarily have to look like them. And the reason being is that you can get caught up in trying to achieve a likeness and therefore lose all the momentum and precious time in the drawing session. We're going to make another video about how to draw faces from the side or from angles where you can see both sides of the face. So look out for that. Now guys, there's so much that we're really excited to make, videos that we're planning for the future. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, then please do. Also, if you have any friends or people that you think would benefit from these videos, please let them know about them. That would be great. And also we wanted to thank you for all the kind comments that you've been leaving and for hitting the like button on our videos. It really means a lot to us, so thank you. See you next time.